within moments, an orange ball of fire burst from the South Tower. Someone said, "Now we know it wasn't an accident." Uncomprehending, I proceeded to class. Everyone on my attendance roster showed up and sat in the chairs I'd arranged in a semicircle. As if in a trance, I began to go over the syllabus. My seminar that semester was called Travel and Travelers in American History, and I told the students that we would study the experiences and observations of travelers both within and beyond the United States. The students followed along, obedient in their own states of stupor, until an hour later someone opened the door of our windowless classroom to say that both towers had fallen. Class dismissed. We climbed out of the West 4th Street basement and emerged into a world transformed. A month later, I was on my way to the University of Michigan to give a lecture. I alerted my host that I reserved the right to turn around on the jetway if I couldn't bring myself to board the plane, a warning she accepted without question. There was no need to reveal anything more, since in October 2001, people all over the world were afraid to fly. Soon after takeoff, passengers peered out the windows at the gaping hole in the ground. Some cried quietly through the flight, others prayed visibly. For the first time in 30 years, other people were acting the way I always felt on airplanes. That's when memories of the hijacking began to intrude. Still, more years passed in which I wrote books and articles about other people's lives, often in one way or another about grief and loss. Then, nearly 45 years after our return from the desert, I broached the subject with my sister. Close as we had been as children, Catherine and I often struggled as grown-ups to maintain the intimacy that helped us survive back then. Did the hijacking have anything to do with that? Catherine hadn't thought about it for years and years, she told me, almost as if it was insignificant or didn't happen. But after 9/11, she too had found herself thinking and talking about it more than in all the years before. Sometimes when she did, she would shake or have trouble breathing. That's when I realized how little I remembered. Right away, I wrote down everything I could conjure. My memories were murky, and there wasn't much. My hastily recorded impressions felt haphazard and jumbled, confusing and chaotic. When I thought about what happened up in the air, fragmented images came to mind. Sitting by the window, Catherine in the middle seat, two people running up the aisle shouting, the old lady in our row crying out, "My pills! My pills!" Catherine helping her find the bottle in her purse. Watching out the window as the plane reversed course, a stewardess moving Catherine and me to first class, where we fell asleep in the big seats. An announcement coming over the loudspeaker about our new captain, about putting our hands behind our heads, and about landing in a friendly country. The co-pilot coming out of the cockpit with his hands up and a gun at his neck. When I thought about landing in the desert, I saw hazy pictures and heard faint voices, someone apologizing to us, a Palestinian doctor walking down the aisle, a nice, smiling man. The co-pilot telling us that our captors promised no bodily harm, watching our captors carrying dynamite onto the plane. Of the first day in the desert, I could call up only a single disconnected picture. At daylight, some passengers leaving, a woman wearing a sari walking up the aisle carrying her suitcase. Amid the blank spaces, there was one longer memory, a frightening one that I'd never succeeded in erasing. Lining up in the aisle as it grows dark on the second night, a commando at the front of the plane looking at the passport my sister and I shared. The man asking why we were in Israel. Catherine saying we were visiting our grandparents, not saying anything about our mother. The man asking if we were Jewish. Catherine saying yes. The commandos boarding the hostages into vans, then making us get off the vans. Standing huddled together in the darkness and cold, the commandos surrounding us in a circle.